Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of DNA Crows with Crow here, the most underrated, undersubbed channel on all of YouTube that has not been doing videos. Yes, we've been doing streams lately, but with some updates to the Vic Mignogna situation, and of course, as you can see on the screen here, this gentleman, we figured it's time to do a quick video update on things going on. Now you might be asking, how's Rooster Teeth involved in Vic Mignogna situation? Well, all I can say is you haven't been paying any attention. So yes, Rooster Teeth was one of the companies that let Vic Mignogna go because of his behavior, and yeah. Can you the reason why I thought this was, obviously it's not funny in the sense that this person has been alleged to do some really terrible things, but it's funny in the sense that we've had a bunch of information come out about Funimation, Monica's current boo, and of course now this. It seems like everything that they say about Vic are things that these people have engaged in and been more than happy to be engaged in. Now I'm not gonna be a total meanie pants and accuse everybody at Rooster Teeth with being okay with this type of behavior, but come on. Look at this. In an arrest warrant, the wife of vice president at Austin-based company Rooster Teeth alleges that her husband brutally attacked her on November 8th and that the attack was part of a pattern of years of abuse. I mean, the thing is, right? Everything they said about Vic Mignogna from both Funimation and Rooster Teeth, so far we've seen these voice actors and representatives of the companies engage in behavior that is far worse than hugging a fan or kissing a fan on the cheek. We see them groping fans, we see them groping each other, we see them stating some really terrible, awful things. Kind of like, they're kind of like this McAfee protection that's expired and keeps popping up on my screen. You know, it's like you don't want to look at their bullshit, but it's all over the internet now. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people have gone over this article already. I actually watched Nick's stream last night where he was going over this. This is some really messed up stuff going on here. But my point is, all these people, all of them, have repeatedly stated that Vic's behavior is inappropriate, that the things he does cannot be tolerated, how they're better than that, blah, 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 whatever, you know, just blowing smoke up their own asses, basically. But then you see this, right? You see the homophobic comments, right? You know, because everything that's anti-gay is homophobic. So you saw all the homophobic comments that they made. You saw them actively make jokes about Vic being gay. You saw them actively make sexual comments about Vic and other people. We've seen that in spite of Monica being terrified of Vic, she has no problem being with a spousal abuser who threatened to chop up his ex-wife's dogs in front of her, threatened to beat her, and did this all in front of her kid. And the courts all found this to be true. So what I'm really starting to realize is, I think it's maybe a good thing that Vic Mignogna is no longer involved with these people, because Vic seems like a decent person, and these people all seem absolutely batshit crazy. Anyways, that was my first part of the video. Next part, we're going to be going over into the Vic Mignogna situation with the fees. Alright guys, that was the first part of the video. The second part is this article from the Dallas Morning News, and I was pretty surprised by this. My gosh, what is with all these pop-ups? No, I'm not going to do anything. I don't want a pencil. Anime voice actor Vic Mignogna makes a reasonable case that he didn't file suit for vengeance. I mean, it's written by Grigsby, guys. I don't think that title is real. This must be a joke. Did someone on Kiwi Farms hack the Dallas Morning News and write this article? Anime voice actor Vic Mignogna took the stand Thursday for the first time weeks after he lost round 1 of his defamation lawsuit and steadfastly maintained his legal action was the last resort of a man desperate to save his career. The Grapevine-based actor and Dragon Ball star, long hounded by allegations of inappropriate behavior towards women, filed suit in April against his former employer, 2 Dallas area colleagues, and the fiancé of one of the women. The fiancé who beat his ex-wife. Let's just put everything in there. Almost immediately after State District Judge John Chupp dismissed the last of Mignogna's 17 claims October 4th, his legal team made clear that an appeal is coming. But before that can happen, both sides had to return to Chupp's courtroom Thursday to hear arguments on the awarding of defense lawyers' fees and possible sanctions against the actor. And I'm not going to go over everything that was stated there, but it sounds like Chupp was really upset with what was going on from the defendant's legal team. Mr. Fiore-Lemoine was apparently he is bilking his clients like crazy, and I would kind of be very concerned if the judge didn't award them everything that they wanted, because even if they get everything, their lawyer has just milked like $200,000 for what? You're better off settling, Jesus. Even if you win. Even if you win. But look, defense attorney Sean Lemoine, the Fuhrer himself, was unable to shake Mignogna from his earnestly delivered narrative. The voice actor trusted his lawyer so completely that he has never read the lawsuit filed on his behalf. He has never watched a minute of the YouTube screeds of a Minnesota lawyer who set up a GoFundMe legal campaign on his behalf. He even maintained he doesn't know his own net worth. He probably doesn't. Like, the dude likes voice acting. That's it. He likes voice acting. Come on. He probably doesn't know his own net worth. Jesus. After the January premiere of his latest film, Dragon Ball Broly, Mignogna testified he quickly realized that people were again tweeting about his alleged misdeeds. Longtime allegations on social media have described the actor's aggressive kisses, hugs, and unwanted sexual advances. See, let's say I grant you everything in that line that they were aggressive and they were unwanted. I mean, the fans have even stated, like, he has not tried to force himself onto them. He just, like the ones that are part of KickVic, you know, they've stated, like, he just did things that they found inappropriate, but not that they said no and he kept trying to force himself onto them. So I look at that and I look at the things other voice actors have done. Like, I don't know, bending over a chair and twerking while someone spanks their ass. And I kind of wonder which one's worse. Being in a line where you hug a fan or you kiss them on the cheek, or I don't know, oh gosh, who is it? LJ Montello the pedo, who was on stage forcefully kissing teenage girls, but it's okay because they wanted it, right? And then I look at I look at DC Douglas creeping in the women's bathroom and then tweaking out trying to get those videos removed because, you know, it's a crime. And I sit there and I look at Vic and I go, okay. But then again, I'm Arab. In the Arab world, you know, you kind of just... Actually, I'm also part Italian. Like, you know, you kiss people on the cheek. Men kiss each other on the cheek as a sign of affection and greeting. Over here, you guys are all weird. You don't want to be affectionate towards anybody. I don't know, man. I don't know. You guys are the weird ones. Ignore everything I just said. Mignogna contended that before the filing of the lawsuit, he even considered asking the advice of fellow voice actor Monica Rial, one of the women he would eventually sue along with Rial's fiancée, the wife-beater Rontoye, Jamie Marchi, oh god, and Flower Mound-based Funimation. That's where they're based? Okay. But then he recounted Rial and Marchi also tweeted about his behavior. It just kept getting worse and it kept getting worse. I didn't feel I had any other choice, Mignogna said. Many of the question and answer sequences between Mignogna and Lemoine, punctuated by many objections by the voice actor's legal team and upheld by Chupp, ended with little satisfaction for either side. Repeatedly, Lemoine asked, "Is it fair to say that you need to file a lawsuit to shut people up?" After answering the question several times with a polite but vehement no, Mignogna responded, "No, sir. They had been speaking out for months. There was no shutting anyone up." There you go. Much of the Thursday hearing involved hours of dry, detailed testimony about the defense lawyer's blood. Let's say his balls. They're very tiny. They're very small. That's why you need the money. Data points on reasonable rates, block billing, timekeepers, and timesheets. Yeah, as I understand it, they're very. There's a couple of things going around on Twitter. Some statements that were made by Chuck that were not favorable at all towards the defendants. But at the same time, these hearings went on for hours. So if we only have like 10 or so statements against the defendants that went on for hours, I can just imagine sitting there was probably like watching paint dry. As much as I want to know what was said. But once Mignogna took the stand, things got interesting. I've been writing about this case since August. But because he and his defense team never agreed to talk to me, this is my first time to hear him in person. Wow, Sharon. I wonder why. Because maybe it's because of your article right here. Anime gets its Me Too moment in clash between Dallas area voice actors. Maybe it was because you had an article and you put both of the defendants together and you had them crying and holding each other and nobody trusted you. Gosh, nobody trusts anybody in media. And here you are, clearly taking a side, and your response is, well, nobody wanted to talk to me. Well, no shit, Sherlock. Come on. The 57-year-old voice actor was careful with his words, but mostly came across as authentic. As previewed in the defense lawyer's filings, the goal was to prove that Mignogna's claims were filed in bad faith, that he was aware that the cancellation of invitations to anime conventions was not caused by the defendants, and that the lawsuit, in tandem with the strategy of using a Minnesota lawyer as a hate megaphone, illustrated his vindictiveness. Mignogna acknowledged that he had no direct evidence related to who was behind the convention cancellations, but he said he believed they were linked to the defendants based on things I had heard at the time. But the defense team had far less success on the other 2 points. Lamont questioned Mignogna again and again about whether he'd hatched a plan with Minnesota lawyer Nick Rekieta for Mignogna to file the defamation lawsuit, and Rekieta to follow up by creating the GoFundMe account. After many questions, Mignogna eventually conceded that he thanked Rekieta for setting up the account, but he denied any other involvement. I don't have control over one single penny of the account, he said. See, he can say it over and over again. Oh, the WifeBeater! Guys, it's the WifeBeater! Hello, WifeBeater! He's the sheepdog protecting society from people who aren't wife beaters. I need to see that. That made me laugh. As of Thursday night, the GoFundMe page stood at about 262,000 from 6,600 supporters. Oh my gosh! So what's the average donation then? Let's calculate this. So 262,000 divided by 6,600 donors. The average donation to the GoFundMe is $39. Wow. Good job, everybody. So yeah, it seems like they tried to do whatever they could to get Nick's name linked to Mignogna and get Nick dragged in by having Vic specifically state that there was some sort of connection and that he was the one, or Ty or somebody was basically using Nick and getting Nick to do their dirty work, right? In order to set up this whole thing separately, but that they were always in communication with each other. This is not true. It's never been true. Like, everybody who's been following this and, watching Nick's streams knows that was never the case. This whole thing started because Nick started the GoFundMe. The GoFundMe started taking off. Nick kept doing videos about how terrible the defendants were. This outraged them. I mean, a person with 100 followers on Twitter saying something naughty about them will set them off. I've watched these voice actors. I have watched the new voice actor for Crow literally try to challenge somebody to a fist fight because they use the Tropic Thunder meme. Never go full retard. So he wanted to challenge him to a fist fight. Asked if anybody had his personal information so he could deliver a gift to them. And then afterwards, after being called out, deletes the tweets and says, The reason why I need this information is because I worry for my personal safety, and I'll be contacting conventions to warn them about this individual. You know? So imagine you take Nick, who's like 100 Twitter accounts, times you know, a couple 100,000 in terms of his reach, right? Now imagine he's going on nightly and talking negatively about the defendants. I can just imagine a certain cuck WifeBeater just sitting there in his cage, watching the YouTube video, getting furious and furiouser. And honestly, I think maybe being a cuck is good for Ron, because as long as he's locked in the cage, he can't physically abuse anybody. Alright guys, that's the video. A lot of stuff has gone over on Nick's stream. I suggest watching it. I know they're super long, but they're a lot of fun. This is just... I wanted to point out the hypocrisy on the people that have stood against Vic. I wanted to point out that, you know, again, you have another high-ranking person at one of these companies that's been beating his wife for years. You have the defendants... Well, one of the defendants and the fiance for one of the defendants, who has also been found by the courts to be a wife beater. And now you have this, you know. I wonder if Sharon, because I don't trust this lady at all, but I wonder if Sharon is now looking at the people that she has been associating herself with, looking at their actions, looking at the things that they have done. And I'm wondering if she's starting to realize, oh my god, what? Oh my god, I don't want to be associated with these psychopaths anymore. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for tuning into another video. I think the Vic Mignogna situation is, well, we're going to have a final answer pretty soon with it going to appeals. I personally, I don't care what the judge awards the defendants in here, because at this point, one thing I think that they are right is this lawsuit has completely damaged them. And I think that's really good. And by saying damaged them, I'm not saying because Vic sued them they were damaged. I'm saying that because of the behavior that they engaged in, right, throughout this entire process, has just been absolutely damning. And you are obviously going to have those people that flock and surround around them. Just say, absolutely not. Monica's the most amazing person. I'm BT underdog, and I just like to sniff her panties. That sort of weirdo, right? But it's done, you know? Like, conventions don't want to associate themselves with you when you're sitting there saying that these conventions have been harboring a pedophile, essentially. You went out there and you said these conventions have known for years that he assaults their congoers. Why would they want to associate you? You implicated them in everything, right? Just on face of it, they wouldn't want to associate themselves with you or with Vic. Nobody. I mean, I wouldn't want to associate with you because you flat out stated that you knew all this stuff was happening, but you kept your mouth shut for what, 8-10 years? I mean, obviously, even if I went by everything that you have said, and I took you at face value, and I didn't question a single thing that you stated, well, you're just as guilty. Because y'all kept your mouth shut for like 10 years, plus that. But obviously, I mean, I would... Maybe it's true, right? Because look at all the other stuff that they've covered for and that they've hidden. Look at the weirdos that work at these companies. Look at the wife beaters. Look at the spousal abusers that they associate themselves with. Look at the way that they talk to women, right? What was it Chris Sabat said about Monica Rial? You know, she's just like a vacuum cleaner. She sucks, she blows, and she gets laid in the closet. That wasn't Vic Mignogna. That was Chris Sabat, the same man implicated in having a casting couch. Those are the sorts of people that have come after Vic. The spousal abusers have come after Vic. The creepers like DC Douglas have come after Vic. The women who are completely okay getting on their hands and knees and having someone slap their ass or doing a strip tease in front of children, those are the ones who have come after Vic. I don't know. I don't know, but At the end of this, and I will say this again, the judge could award the defendants every single penny that they have asked for. The appeals court could just say, you know what, no, we're not going to be granting you an appeal here. And I would still feel just as good. Because I know now, and the majority of people know now, and the majority of conventions and everything know what absolute monsters these people are. What just absolute freak shows they are. And we can all just avoid them moving forward now. Anyways, that's my update from everything going on with the Vic Mignogna case. We haven't done a video on it in a while, but some news came out. This stuff was funny, and obviously, if Sharon Grigsby is going to write a neutral article on this situation, as neutral as it can get, I obviously had to comment. So. Sharon, you get a gold star from the DNA Crows. That's one gold star that will take off about 99 black stars. So now you're only negative 98 black stars. You're kind of like the Black Wolves from Black Clover. Had to throw in that reference. All right, everybody. Bye-bye.